we just had the CJI. Overall thoughts on how you think the show went?
It didn't work out for some of us, but still, no one was butthurt because they lost and made no money. Everyone made a good amount of money.
Have you ever been in like a tournament where you are guaranteed money?
Yeah, but usually the money that they cover you, it's barely gonna cover like hotel and like flights.
Nicholas Meregali was essentially bashing those that were skipping Adcc in favor of CJI. He said, I guess money is more important to some than legacy. What are your thoughts when it comes to legacy for a jiu-jitsu athlete?
First of all, anything that guy says, I try to not take super serious. We're in a sport where we have a lot of world champions, but we don't have a lot of millionaires. So being a millionaire in this sport is kind of like a legacy too. The point when I start realizing this most, whenever I start doing the NoGi fights, they always get my accolades wrong. Nobody cares.
So how are you feeling knowing that you've beaten Nicky Rod 100% of the time and then Nicky Rod just blew through everyone?
Oftentimes it's about who underperforms the least.
Multiple time black belt world champion. I mean, absolute world champion. All the accolades in the world. This dude's beaten me twice. So, I mean, if he beat me, he must be good. Right? Bro,
you beat me like 3,000 times in training, so...
Hey, that shit doesn't matter. I'm a gym.
Even.
I'm a gym hero, bro. I'm only good in the gym, and then in the tournament, I just fall apart, bro. But yeah, we got Victor Hugo here today, the big man Flo. So good to have you. You're actually the first guest that we've had on the podcast so far. So we wanted to start it off with a bang, and obviously we just had the CGI, and you compete. Me and you were actually supposed to be in the same division. You know, I was injured. I had to pull out. So I guess we'll just start with just overall thoughts on, you know, how you think the production went, how you think the show went, how it was being an athlete and competing, how they took care of you and stuff like that. I mean, what's your overall?
Man, I think it was a great event, of being, as you said, part of different events all over the world as far as like jiu-jitsu. Really good events. I've also been part of like events that are not that good, but CJI was definitely up there as one of the best. The production, I think, was amazing because it was very, I can't really say basic because it was like kind of like well produced, but he didn't go as crazy, but still looked great, like the stadium was packed, which I think is one of the things that probably one of the things that mattered the most. And the energy was amazing. I was able to qualify for the second day. The second day was definitely more packed than the first day, but first day was a cool energy because it was such a long event that it gave me almost like movie vibes, like I think I saw the Tackett. I can't remember who Tackett fought the first day. It wasn't Rutuolas, but I think he was fighting like
Nicky Ryan.
Midnight.
Nicky Ryan was his
midnight.
First one.
At midnight. I was like, holy shit, this guy's is rolling like at midnight. And I started rolling at 4 p.m. So I was like, this is pretty crazy. It's like a marathon. And it's still, man, a lot of people watching, and that's the appeal that we have. I think you're able to put people on the seats for 8 hours. That's kind of like a big accomplishment for any type of events or any type of sports. And it was just good to be part of it overall. As I said, production was amazing. And one thing too that I think was cool was the show up money was pretty good too. Like sometimes, man. Of course, I want to go out there and win, but sometimes you feel bad for some of those guys in the bracket. The guys go to those tournaments and make nothing, and people have family, people have camps, they pay for training, and you win, but then you look to the side and everyone else is fucked up, So you're like, man, like I'm happy I win, but like I need competition. How are my competition going to survive if they're always like not making money and stuff like that? So it was cool to see that everyone went there, they gave their best. And at the end, it didn't work out for some of us, but still no one was butthurt because they lost and made no money. Everyone made a good amount of money, good enough to maybe cover the camp or even like save some and have, money for them. So it was good to see everybody taken care of, and it was good to be part of the event, jumping on the live stream and seeing, I think 140,000 people watching live. It was like amazing too. Everyone interacting. So it was a good experience overall besides my result. I didn't get the result I wanted. It was a 2-year run to get to that weekend. Things didn't work out my way, but sometimes like that, like I can't complain. I had an amazing year so far up to this point, so it just happens. But I'm glad. I think we did enough work to make a second one happen and hopefully make this thing run yearly, So it was for the change of the sport, for something bigger than myself, and I'm just glad I was part of it.
Yeah, definitely. So that's the next thing that you're looking forward to is going to be the next CGI, right?
Yeah, I definitely will compete in different tournaments, but the more I can support the event, the better, because I think that's what we need, like people getting paid. I think I don't know for how long they're gonna be able to sustain open on YouTube, but I think that's pretty cool too because anyone can watch. And I was just reading, I think it was Nicky was talking about it. They actually were able to make a good amount of money out of it, just being like live. So I think there's a market for it. It's probably a little bit more riskier than charging behind a paywall, but if the sport has distraction for it, I think it's doable, and they proved it. I believe they were able to make money out of it. It was open. Everybody was happy at the end. So why not push more something like that, So I think sometimes you just get stuck on their old ways just because you're used to it. Oh, no, yeah, it's fine. Like, I pay for my registration to compete. Oh, no, it's fine, yeah. Just give me the least amount of money and maybe I have a chance to win. So I think it's just like innovative and something that we should really like push. And it's just going to take this sport to a new level, Like,
hey,
more
Vic,
and more you're going to... Yeah.
I got a question for you. Have you ever, besides like a super match, have you ever been in like a tournament where you are guaranteed money?
I do, but the money that they guarantee you, it's like, yeah, but usually the money that they cover you, it's barely gonna cover like hotel and like flights, and it's gonna a little bit left. Like $10,000, I think is a good amount of money that you like will have actually some. You feel like you're paid to be there. Like it's not like they're covering barely the things that you spend with.
Yeah, for sure. So let me be the what do you call it? The devil on the shoulder. The piece of shit, yes. The devil on the shoulder.
You play that role really well.
Wait, what's it called? Hey, what's it called? Devil's advocate. Let me be devil's advocate. So, do you think that not only... Okay, so forget the sustainability part about $10,000 showing up, but do you think, and there was definitely talk about this, that... and this is part of the reason people get show and win money in fighting, is do you think that with $10,000, no matter what, guaranteed, that you're always going to get everybody's top performance? Like in another tournament or, worlds or whatever you do, ADCCs, it's like you compete really hard so that you can make the final and make the money, And it's like some guys are like, shit, $10,000, I'm cool with that. You know what I'm saying? Win or loss. Like I know that after I step off this mat, I still got 10 bands in my pocket. Do you think that there's a problem with that, with like not getting everybody's like, I guess, top level of competition and competitive drive to want to win more? Obviously, $1 million is not even close to 10,000, but some people are never even seen $10,000 in their bank account, Yeah.
Definitely that could be a problem. But I think when you put, $1 million in the line and everyone is delusional enough to think that all of them can win, I think that plays a big role, Like if there wasn't like a lot of like disparity between the 10,000 and maybe you win 50,000, I think that will definitely be kind of like the behavior. But since the bracket was big, but it wasn't like a lot of weights, you can get a lot of names that all the guys actually think they can win, which I would think was the thing there that went on with the bracket. Whenever it lost the first round, probably a lot of people thought, oh shit, this is my day. Yeah. So I think the show money is definitely something that people, maybe this guy's just gonna flop because he has 10K on his pocket. But on how big the sport is, I think a lot of guys, they can make 10,000 different ways. And if the money prize is way bigger than 10,000, I think that problem will be solved by nature, because everyone thinks like, oh man, maybe I'm not the best in the bracket, but if that guy get his leg broken and that guy loses it, I have a shot. So I think like at some level they all think, and everyone thinks that they can win.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's
and
doable.
It's like in a big competition, and this goes in wrestling too. It's like for a guy like you, Vic, like to be honest, like this is no disrespect, I didn't really know exactly who you were until Mason was telling me about you. He picked you as a favorite to win it weeks before the competition. But then it's like a guy like you goes and gets upset and loses first round, and it's like, now the bracket blows wide open.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. It happens. I mean, I would bet it's, and we were talking about high-level wrestling tournaments, high-level jiu-jitsu tournaments, I bet it's like 60-40. Like, it doesn't happen 60% of the time, 40% of the time. Somebody loses that wasn't supposed to lose. Now, all of a sudden, you got a guy or, a girl, in the title of or in the contention for the title that maybe a week before nobody would have thought. So, it's almost the uncertainty of it is exciting as well.
That's how far just showing up will take you, man. You'll never know, like,
For
and
sure.
I'm big on that. Like, sometimes I'm not feeling the greatest, like I wasn't feeling this time, but things happen, like the bracket goes on, and then when you see you're in the finals, so
yeah,
anything can happen. I think that's what makes any sports great.
So Victor, a lot of people don't know this, but how many times have you competed against Nicky Rod?
3 times. I've competed 3 times. I beat him 3 times.
Oh.
So
I haven't submitted him yet, but last time was pretty close. But I keep getting closer and closer.
So with that being said, a lot of people ask me this. In my last ADCC in 2022, I ended up losing early, and I got upset by one of the lower seeds. And then Giancarlo, who I had 2 wins over previously, won the bracket. And everyone was asking me like, oh, does it hurt even more because Giancarlo won the bracket? And the answer is yes, it hurt even more. So how are you feeling knowing that you've beaten Nicky Rod 100% of the time, and then Nicky Rod just blew through everyone in the bracket?
Oh yeah, man! It was a lot of like a lot of thoughts going through my mind because even Andrew on the finals, like I respect him a lot, but also like I think I've beat him like 6 times. So both guys in the finals, I'm like,
you're like
9-0 against them.
9-0 against them. Yeah.
So
wow, bro.
For me, it was kind of like fuck. It really wasn't supposed to be, because I think on a regular day I could, like 10 out of 10, maybe like 7 times out of 10 I could have made to these finals, or I could have won, but really wasn't supposed to be. And I think that's what made my mind like kind of like relax. It still kind of hurts a little bit, but I think more than the actual money, actual tournament, it was just like the whole 2-year thing that I did for that weekend, and things not go my way. It was probably the thing that hurts the most because time is the thing that you can't buy. So it was just like a lot of work. I started working with the guys that some of you are aware, the people, the Power Athletes. We started working 2 years ago with the goal of performing my best at ADCC this weekend, and things ended up changing, ended up going to CJI. And not having that work on my way was kind of like hard, but it is what it is, like, as I said, things will happen that way. I'm 27. I think we still have a lot to burn, and it's just like it stays a lesson, it's still lesson for this event. But definitely seeing the finals, like I know those guys deserve to be there, but I definitely think I'll have a shot at some point. But it is what it is.
That's
the
the
thing
heartbreak.
about it is like, yeah.
That's the heartbreak of combat sports, right? Especially grappling. It's like you train endless hours every day, thousands of hours and hundreds of days, and then it only and for wrestling it's 6 minutes. It's a 6-minute period, or it's 3 2-minute periods, or in college it's set, or in freestyle it's 2 3-minute periods, and that decides your entire career, the outcome of your career, your, who you are as a man, who you are as an athlete. And sometimes it doesn't seem fair, but it's kind of like the beauty of the madness of that too. It's like, just like Mason was saying, he's like, you could be like leading up to a competition. And I know for me, it's like, sometimes I've like led up to a fight where I've like my last couple spar sessions, I felt like shit. I'm like, oh, I suck at this shit. I'm not good anymore. And then you go out there and you fight and or wrestle, and you're on fire, Or the opposite. It's like leading up to a competition, you're out there training like you're like, man, I'm fucking invincible, bro. I'm out here, And then you go out there and it's like something happens. You feel flat. You're in your head. You're like, it's like you're in a dream, bro. And you're like, oh, I can't, those dreams where they say you can't run fast, or like, you can't punch.
Yeah.
You're like, what is going on, bro? Why do I feel like this? But that's the cool thing about, being able to have high level guys like you on, so you can like kind of, break down and let the, I guess the casual person understand that that's like the sick part of what we do is the unknown of how you're going to feel on that exact day. Not even that day, just that time of day.
Yeah, definitely. And without that fear of like basically getting your heart broken and getting like devastated, there's no like good feeling with winning.
Yes.
It's like a heartbreak, like you needed to be in love to really feel that pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
And I think
yeah, I like
sometimes
that
when it
one,
comes to
Mason.
competition, oftentimes it's about who underperforms the least.
Yeah.
You know, like it's almost
Who
everyone's gonna
underperforms the
underperform.
least? Yeah.
Bro,
Yeah.
everyone's gonna underperform compared to what they look at the gym or how they look on a daily basis when they sleep at their bed, they eat their food made at the house, and they have their coach there. I think it comes out to who's gonna underperform the least. You know, it's just not who performs, because all of us can perform great at some point in like the week or the training camp, but when that day hits, something goes wrong. You know, your performance goes down, like you're not feeling it. So it's like about like who is feeling like the best by not underperforming the least, I think.
There's some people that will get all up in their heads on just a regular training day. Now, I just got my blue belt, so I'm very new to the sport. But even in this short amount of time that I've been in the sport, I have seen people get tapped by like a lower belt or maybe somebody that's just newer to jiu-jitsu than they are. And they'll start to question everything, right? They want to go back to the drawing board and change everything up, or potentially take some time off and never come back. You're at the top level. You were heavily favored to win CJI, and then we seen a huge upset. How do you shake that off and still come back the next training day fully focused and ready to prepare for the next tournament?
I think it's like competing for so long, you kind of see yourself in this spot more than once. Of course, there's level to this. This is the highest level, you know, like that $1 million is probably like the biggest prize money that I've ever been on a bracket to compete. But it's not the first time that things doesn't go my way. And I think that's what makes this, this journey kind of special, you know, like it's not going to be just flowers. You're going to have to go through some stuff. And that's what makes your journey the best sometimes, you know, like later on, you're going to have a story to talk about. It didn't go my way that day, but then later I went back and I became better. So I think that's how my mindset's evolved right now. I have some injuries to take care of, and I think it's going to be kind of like a rebuild time. Last time I lost, kind of like I've lost more times, but I think like the most expressive loss that I've had before this one was my loss to Gordon Ryan 2 years ago. I think he won me like 9-0. That was after me winning World. So I think after that loss, I was able to rebuild myself and make myself way better, you know, as an athlete and as a grappler. So losing at CJI was first time I got submitted. So I look forward to what I can make, you know, out of this in like the next 2 years. So it's all about that. And losses will come. You just got to be able to handle them. And
Hey, Vic. Sorry, man. I got to help you out real quick. All right, bro. You know what I'm saying? Listen, this is like a pet peeve of mine. I hate that people who know English already do this. So when you learn, so how long have you known English?
probably like 8 years. I moved in 2016.
Nice. Yeah, you speak really well. Okay, but listen, I'll tell you what. And maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, Mason and Andrew, tell me. But when you talk about somebody beating you, right? When somebody says he won me 9-0, like that, people say that, but it's not what I like. It's not what I know. It's not what I like. You just say he beat me 9. You know what I mean? He beat me 2-0. He beat me 4-2. I mean, am I right or wrong, Mason?
Keep doing you, bro. I like it. He won
You
me
like
9.
it?
He won me 9-0 too. I'm gonna start saying it too.
Don't say that, bro. Don't do that. He's
You know what's
just doing
funny?
that.
Hey,
out of
Right, he
spite
beat
of
me 9-0.
Hey, you know what's
Yeah.
funny is when I'm with my Brazilian friends, I start talking in broken English. Have
Oh,
you
yeah.
Have you ever
There you
seen
go.
that, Deron?
Oh,
when
yeah,
when
for
I'm
sure.
talking to someone from Brazil, I'll start
Power
saying
of
the wrong
influence.
It's just like when you talk to when I talk to the Russians. We talk to the Russians. You're like, yes,
say, brother. Yes,
I
brother.
know, brother. Yes, brother.
thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
We do this, brother.
No,
I know,
I'll start
brother.
talking to my Brazilian friends with the. Sometimes when I teach jujitsu, I notice that I have a Brazilian accent for some reason, and I think that's just because I've always learned from Brazilians.
Yeah.
So I naturally do it, and I have to
them.
stop myself.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
you
keep
do.
doing you, Victor. Don't listen
No,
to him.
Victor,
Man.
just for
Hey,
the
I don't use that sentence that often. That's why.
Yeah. It's cool, bro. But I'm like, you know what I'm saying? But I'm like that I have like really good like vocabulary and verbiage
Yeah.
and grammar.
No, you don't, bro.
So I'm just trying to help
I'll
you
save
out,
that
sir.
one, but hopefully I'll probably use the sentence on my life like 2 more times. So.
Yeah, maybe you'll never use it again, bro. But later, like in your life, when you tell your grandkids how great you were, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You could be like, this sorry ass dude, Gordon Ryan, beat me and not want. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to
There
help
you
you
go.
out, play it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Well,
We'll
Victor,
stick-
Victor, let's
we'll
talk
stick
about
together.
let's talk about moving forward, because obviously you're coming off a loss. You're going to be more motivated than ever. And I'm sure in your mind, you've seen how the weekend played out and you have a few matchups in your head. I have a few matchups in my head for you and for myself, honestly. But moving forward, what are your plans? How are you going to get back on top? To me, you're still top 5 pound for pound in my eyes. So what?
According to Flow Grappling, I don't think I'm even like top 15.
Yeah, Flow Grappling doesn't matter.
I was like, what the hell, bro?
Hey,
you
I'll
lose
tell you
one
what.
match and then you're like,
hey, I competed against Pedro Murillo. I submitted him, and afterwards, the next day, they updated the rankings, and Pedro Murillo was ranked number 1, and they moved me up to number 4.
Wow.
So I don't care what Flow Grappling's rankings say. In my head, and the people that know jiu-jitsu know that you're top 5 pound for pound. I mean, that's without a doubt. So what matchups are you looking forward to for yourself moving forward?
I think it's like you said, in my head, I'm also top 5 too, but there's still like I still got to climb it up. So there is a few names. I definitely would like to run it back with Nicky Rod if he wanted to. I don't think there's a match that he really wants right now. I'm seeing he's trying to get a match with Gordon, maybe Nicholas. So those are the guys that eventually I want to compete against. But I think one guy that called me out before ADCC and CJI and had a really good weekend was Pena. So I think Pena would be a good matchup for me. He won the plus 99 at ADCC, had a great performance, and he did call me out before. So I think that was the one that makes the most sense right now. But I don't think I'm going to see myself competing too soon. I really want to take a look at my body, see what I can do to make me perform better. I'm dealing with some injuries. When you came to train with me, you saw I got injured there too. So I just want to stay away from those nagging injuries that sometimes will happen during camp that will kind of hold you back from performing at your best. So, as I said, I think I have had a good season, but now I just want to take a look at my body because I'm 27 now, headed to the 30. So see what are the things I can change in order for me to be able to compete at the highest level for the following years and not having to deal with injuries and stuff. So I think it's going to be a rebuild time. But whenever the time it is time to compete again, that's definitely the guy I want to compete. Ben is probably the first guy and whoever.
How does the match go? How does the match go between you and Pena? Who pulls guard first?
Man, I think I would probably pull, but if he pulls, I'm not complaining that either, So I don't think I would be wrestle him for 30 minutes because I'm pretty honest. I don't think I have the best wrestles, so I don't think people are paying to watch me wrestle.
Where do you train, Victor?
So I just
Where do you train at?
6 Blades.
Where's that at? Or where do you live? Oh, in Austin?
Austin, okay. Texas, yeah. So usually I'm just trying to get to the good stuff.
They're an affiliate of New Wave.
I'm just kidding. I'll probably just try to pull and make the jiu-jitsu happen right away, Maybe I'll wrestle for a little bit. That's another thing that I'm trying to work on. I haven't been able to show off on the tournament still. But yeah, I'll probably just try to get to the ground as quick as possible and try to get jiu-jitsu going.
What about the matchup with Luke Griffith? Because you've never competed against him before, right?
Bro, that matchup is kind of pissing me off lately, No, I never really had the talk with him, but the first time they were supposed to fight, not supposed to, but the idea came up, he declined it, it was another promotion. And from my end, what I heard was he didn't want it. And then the second time around, we were supposed to face each other in Austin, Texas, and he pulled out probably 4 days to the fight. I think I never pulled out of a fight, but if I pulled out to fight somebody, I would probably message them and say, hey, bro, I'm not making it. It's not happening. I got hurt, and I was really looking forward to competing with you. That's me, I don't know what Mason do, what you guys would do. So no message, I heard through the promotion that he wasn't competing anymore because he got hurt. And that was 1 hour after I posted that I was joining CJI. So it was kind of weird, the timing. Still, I believe people get hurt. That happens. But then day of the competition comes. He comes to the show, the Flow Grappling event. I see him, but I'm also on my zone to compete because I'm competing. I still competing on the night. He probably saw me, didn't talk, nothing. I go to my warm up. I look to the other side. He's rolling with, I think, Gordon, pre-event. They're like rolling,
like helping him warm up.
Yeah, like rolling in NoGi gear. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I go compete, and then that's it, like, so second time it didn't work out. So I don't think I'm really rushing to compete with him right now. I would rather compete against another guys, because 2 times it didn't work out. It wasn't meant to be as well. So maybe we'll see each other at a tournament or something like that. But I really did appreciate the weight that he took the last match. And I think that's just me, I'm probably being too sensitive, but I believe there should be some sort of like, communication between you and your opponent whenever things doesn't go that way.
It's funny. Gordon actually messaged me when he pulled out of our match. He sent me a really nice message, and I was like,
yeah, I believe that's a thing. I haven't been there a lot, like where people pulled out, but it's really common for people to just like communicate, hey, bro, I'm not making it. Sorry, like got hurt. But it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of weird how everything played out.
Or like to see you at the competition and be like, hey, I'm sorry I couldn't compete against you. Like,
yeah, it's like, hey, big dog, I'm not competing
bro.
tonight. Like, let's do it next time. Like, I think that should be some sort of communication. I know he's young too, so probably didn't go even like through his head.
And he probably just felt bad too. He felt bad and didn't want to even talk about it,
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like it's all fine, but it's not like a matchup that I'm like rushing to do it. I'll do it again. Like at
so
this
Felipe
point.
Pena.
Felipe
Pena.
Yeah,
on the next.
That'll be a good one.
Now, what's the next promotion that you want to compete for? Any promotion that's offering? Is there one that you like specifically?
Bro, now is like the highest bid. Like highest bid takes it. Honestly, like not staying. Like I think like either promotion help grow the sport. I'm not trying to stay attached at one promotion. I think it's just like the one that makes the most sense. Of course, the rule set plays out a lot on whichever promotion you're doing it. I definitely like the Who's Number One style because, there's no points. You're just looking for the submissions. But I don't mind UFC Fight Pass at all either because I think the overtime can make things fun too. And Who's Number One, if you win at the end and no submissions, it's kind of by the ref's decision. When a UFC Fight Pass, you at least has the option to score, so it makes your victory more legit, I would think. Not that it's not legit to win by decision, but at least you get you can win by points or submission, or decision. So
those two rule sets are very similar, and those two promotions, Who's Number One and UFC Fight Pass, are pretty much the two biggest players in town right now for jiu-jitsu. The rule sets are very similar because UFC Fight Pass is a 10-minute submission only regulation, and then they have a 1-minute break, and then they do a 5-minute overtime with points. So it's a 15-minute match, but you get that 1-minute break, and there's a points period in the last 5 minutes. Who's Number One is just 15 minutes sub only. So they're very similar, but I do like the UFC's rule set a little bit better. But I would compete for either one. Same thing. Whoever's paying better, I would compete for. And I have a good relationship with both.
Yeah, I mean, true. Dates also play out, whoever has the best dates when it comes to that. But as I said, I also would like to get a fight in Brazil at some point, but they'll probably try to have me back on the gi. But I'll try to do no-gi, like I love the gi, but I think I'm having a good run in no-gi so far. It's just so hard to do both at the same time, at least for me. I'm probably just slow.
No, me too. I would rather do one or the other.
Yeah, some guys are like, oh, we can do both and stuff like that. I'm like, man, my brain doesn't work like that. I have to do one on the other,
Most of those guys aren't like the top 5, top 10 pound for pound guys. Most of the top guys nowadays are really focusing on one or the other. And I would compete in the gi, but I mean, it's going to you got to focus on the gi for at least like 3 months, right? So you got to train full time in the gi for 3 months. So it's got to be worth it.
And the gi is kind of like my second nature, I would think. So for me to go back to the gi to the no-gi, it's going to take way more work as far as like thinking and like strategy and like readapting everything. When the gi is my second nature, for me to go jump back on the gi, the things will come back way fast. But then now I'm going to have to back to no-gi, and then I'm going to have to put extra work to do the gripping, the strategy and everything. So I do love the gi, that's what I spend most of my time teaching. I own a school myself. I think like the biggest programs we have are in the gi. I'm never, stopping the gi, but right now I think I'm having a really good moment in the no-gi, and the no-gi scene is getting really exciting. Like we have big names, me and Maze myself, a lot of like good competition. Not that it's not good competition in the gi, but there is good competition, but sometimes there's not the lights that we deserve, like the highlights that we deserve. to the gi, like you're doing super tough matches, but no one's hearing about it. So I think NoGi is there's a little more prestige when it comes to that, even in American right now. Like you get good matchups, you get a great show, you get like good media, you get good money, you get good sponsors. So I think that's more NoGi right now. I'll definitely be back in the gi at some point, but I'm really enjoying riding the wave of the NoGi right now.
So I have a question. Did you talk to Mo personally when you dropped out of ADCC, and how did that go? You dropping out of ADCC to do CJI?
I think I just like communicated, via internet. I didn't have the chance to see him in person.
But you gave him a heads up, like, hey, this is.
I gave him a heads up. I told him I was moving to the other one. We ended up seeing each other at Who's Number One. He was really nice about it. He wished me a good fight. And I think it's just like what it is, like I definitely want to compete at ADCC again, but being kind of like, even as far as like strategy, the CJI rule set favors me better than the ADCC like rule set, because of the wrestling only and stuff like that. But I definitely want to compete for ADCC again at some point. But if it happens to be on the same day as CJI, it's going to be a hard decision, just like it was last time. So I think that will be the time. Is an event that has made history in Jiu-Jitsu. All my coaches competed in the main history there. Lovato competed this last weekend. Shanji was Hall of Fame. But it was just a timing thing, and as far as like putting a scale and see which one was the best opportunity, I had to go with CJI. But if I have to compete for ADCC again, if I will, like invitation or not, if I have to win a trials, let it be, whatever it takes.
Yeah, I definitely made a point to not burn my bridge with ADCC for that reason as well. Because at the end of the day, I mean, they might even want me to do the trials again, but I just didn't want to burn my bridge with them because, I mean, you never want to have a bad relationship with someone that you're competing for. I mean, it's you have enough anxiety showing up to a competition. You don't want like to be thinking in the back of your head, like, man, these guys just like are bringing me here to lose or whatever, anything like that. You know what I mean? So I try to keep not burn my bridge.
I went to ADCC on Sunday, sure, I went there to support. We saw each other there. I think, man, like as more options we have as grapplers, the better. Like, and I was going to say, man, the Jiu-Jitsu is growing so much that now we have different athletes from different sports coming in and merging into ours. Look how many wrestlers we had at the CJI, and I think Jason Wolf just announced he retired from wrestling, and we'll probably see him more often doing Jiu-Jitsu. And I think that's great. It's just showing that Jiu-Jitsu is hitting that spot that people keep saying that we're so far away, which is like the mainstream. I don't know like how to consider a sport mainstream, but I think we're like growing where that's like enough people watching for us to get paid and just live from this, have a living out of competing from Jiu-Jitsu and like a decent living.
On Who's Number One, Nicholas Meregali was essentially bashing those that were skipping ADCC in favor of CJI. Now, he said something like, I guess money is more important to some than legacy. If I'm misquoting him, my apologies, but it was something to that effect. I'm curious for both you and Mason, what are your thoughts when it comes to legacy for a jiu-jitsu athlete?
You want to go first, Victor?
Yeah, first of all, anything that guy says, I try to not take super serious. But I think he said kind of like quite the opposite when it comes to IBJJF. Not long ago before he says that about ADCC, he said like, oh yeah, man, you got to go for the money because IBJJF don't want to pay anybody. So that's why I'm doing NoGi. That's why I'm doing this and that. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that he kind of said something like that. So to change the narrative so quickly, I thought was kind of funny. And when it comes to legacy, like I'm one that also strives for legacy, like I've competed in many world championships and stuff like that. But, like you're only going to be able to compete at the Jiu-Jitsu for so long. And all of us, have different legacies. But a lot of us, whenever we finish our careers, we don't really have the means to kind of like live from all the work that we put in the sport. So seeing events like this, it can change how like you're going to live after this is done, because you're not going to be able to compete forever. And sometimes people just like try to push as much as they can because that's the only way that they can kind of like make a living out of. So when it comes to legacy, I think it's important, but also what's important is like, are you going to take care of as whenever you're done with it? Like you gave so much to the sport, what are the things that you have when you're done with it? So that is that point. And legacy for legacy, man. Like, we're in a sport that we have a lot of world champions, but we don't have a lot of millionaires. So being a millionaire in this sport is kind of like a legacy too. So that's the way I see
and
it.
I will say, so my take on that is, would you rather be like Craig, for example, who Craig probably makes more money than everyone else when it comes to instructional seminars, merch, etc. And Craig technically doesn't have like a world title to his name. He's placed second at 280 cc's, and then I think he placed fourth before that. But Craig makes more money than all of us. Whenever Craig competes, he's making way more than all of us, except maybe Gordon, right? Who's the greatest
honestly,
of all time.
When it comes to legacy, like, if you ask who Craig Jones is and who I am, a lot of people know him more than I. So
yeah, and you have
it's just like you do things for yourself.
Titles. Yeah,
you're kind of like doing it for yourself and for the ones around you for most of the time. But when it comes to like, even like the point when I start realizing this most, whenever I start doing the NoGi fights, they always get my accolades wrong. Victor Hugo, one-time Pan Am champion, two-time world champion. Every time it changes, I'm like, bro, nobody cares, it seems. Like, I'm the one that cares the most. But when it comes to some certain level, they know the name, but they don't really know like exactly what you want and stuff like that. And just like to your point, Mason.
Yeah, and I mean, we can look at even Mikey Musumeci as a perfect example. I believe he won 4 black belt world titles, maybe more. I think it's 4. And then decided to sign with ONE FC and now competes exclusively for ONE FC and is probably making more money than everyone else. It's not about legacy. It's about marketing. Marketing is the most important thing for us. And competing in tournaments is a way to market ourselves, right? But there are other ways to market yourselves. So you guys, I mean, there's people out there that are teaching seminars that are making money that have never even competed in ADCC. And then there's ADCC champions that can't book a seminar, right? Yeah. So ADCC is a platform. It's not about the legacy. It's about using the platform. But you can't just win ADCC. You also have to market yourself and use that as a marketing tool. So I think that's way more important. Marketing is way more important than legacy.
Yeah, correct. And even more than nowadays, maybe back then it would matter the most because we didn't have internet and stuff like that. So you would hear the stories through like tournament stars. Oh yeah, that guy was at the tournament. He won the tournament 5 times. But today, so much information that you can easily, like make some noise, like in different ways.
And look what like, point with Mikey is doing.
People still ask him, why are you not doing ADCC? And he was like, bro, I'm doing like multiple matches a year. I'll make a ton of money. And am I going to go to ADCC to compete with guys like 20 pounds heavier than I in a rule set that he probably would struggle to kind of like adapt because of his game too. So it's just like you said, man.
It seems like your stand-up and your guard passing has just drastically improved over the last couple of years. Why do you think that is?
I think it's just like looking at tape, looking at the training, and see what's missing. Shanji, my sensei, my coach, he's really big on that too. Like for the past year or so, he tried to have me improve those areas. And I just take his word. Whatever he thinks I need to get better on, I just like take it. And like I think that's part of like being an athlete and understanding that you always need to get better at different things. I think my stand-up still not at the same level as my ground, but it's something that also makes it fun to work on. Whenever you're not good at something, it's kind of like rewarding for you to like see the little improvements day by day when you start kind of like picking on that thing, So yeah. Passing as well. Whenever I moved to the school that I usually Six Blades, like I didn't went up the ranks with them. I started training there as a purple belt. But whenever I started training there, the main thing that I missed was the pressure. I didn't have a lot of pressure. I was big. I could move very well. I was fast. But for my size, I didn't have the pressure that I should have had. So since then, like I started kind of like digging, getting better at that. And I think like my last year as brown belt, I was able to display that I was like improving on that. Since then, that's kind of one of the things that I've been working on too, kind of being precise with the pressure, be able to get to good positions and not miss them. And it just makes the whole thing way more fun because you're consistently trying to work on things and get better at them. And at the same time, I'm making my training partners better, like the guys that are training with me, since they start training me, they have improved so much. We was able to get one of our black belts. He was bronze at a ADCC, Felipe. And, like no one really pays attention to him that much, but the guy went there and like beat a couple like big names and was able to perform. And it's just so good to like be in an environment where you're getting better, you make people better, and that makes the whole thing way more enjoyable.
I have one question. Did Felipe, did he lose to Lovato?
ADCC?
Yeah.
No, he lost to Giancarlo. It was a really tough
match.
They
weren't in the same division. I was wondering if they changed the rule. The teammates didn't have to fight each other in the second match anymore, right?
I think no, quarterfinals. But
so they moved it up so that way you could both make the podium.
Yeah, and Felipe dropped to 88, so he dropped from. It was the first time he dropped to 88, so he ended up looking really good. Had a really tough match with Giancarlo. Probably, I would say he gave Giancarlo the toughest match on the division because they went to overtime, and I think Giancarlo was only able to score on him 2 minutes left, so 30 minutes in with a back take. And Felipe like took him down, got a couple good looks, good scrambles. So it was just good to see like my guy right there, like having his best week and competing is just like very fulfilling, And as I said, ADCC still was happy for him. ADCC, I was at CJI. So as I said, man, like it's good for the sport to have both. It gives opportunities for people to see new stars too, and that's what we need. Makes the sport more excited, and yeah.
Deron, we still don't have your audio, bro. But while he fixes that, I wanted to ask you about Coach John Welbourn, your strength and conditioning coach. I'm sure there's a million things that he's helped you with, but is there one thing that you can point to that he's been able to help you with that you've gotten the most benefit from?
I think just become more athletic overall,
Just more athletic?
Yeah, more athletic in a way where I'm stronger, I can move faster. I have better conditioning, and I can endure more when it comes to training, when it comes to long rounds, when it comes to dig deeper. So all those things, and it was really new work for me because I never really had like a coach, strength coach and conditioning coach. He doesn't really like to be called as a coach, but I do call him a coach. But just have that person right there, taking care of that part of your training. On a daily basis and a week basis. So it really helped me like achieve the next level when it comes to performance. And yeah, it was new for me, but it was amazing. At the first it hurted, like to see how bad I was, like, oh man, I have so much to get better at. But once we got good momentum, it was just like super enjoyable to see the body transformation and how much that it helped me on the mats, And I definitely owe him a lot of credit for how I performed this past 2 years since I started working with him, because he really turned, my body and my performance around. Like I'm able to perform way better and show my jiu-jitsu way better because of all those things.
Can y'all hear me now? Yeah. Okay. God dang, bro. I'm trying to get down this conversation too. Listen, I want to talk about back when we were talking about legacy and marketing. Okay. Just real quick. It's so
Mason's
true that
laughing like, oh man, that was a while ago.
Back in the day, hey, Victor.
I kept seeing him. He was
Fuck
like
Mason,
and everyone was just ignoring him.
I was like, what the fuck is going on? I'm like, so I'm just out, huh?
I kept seeing him trying to jump in on the conversation.
I'm like, it's my fucking show. I'm like, Victor, we're gonna have to catch you later, cuz.
All right, let me hear this question you've been waiting to
what
say.
I was saying is like it's so true that nowadays marketing's so much more important than legacy. 20, 30 years ago, of course it was more important to win those tournaments because that's all people saw or heard of is who won the tournament. Nowadays, it's like for example, Attack It. Or for like I'll say like one of my losses in the UFC, I got more fans after a win. Because even if you put on a really good show on camera and people see that, you'll still garnish fans because it's just a different day and age now that people want to see the now. They don't care about what you did win or what you won. They see what's in front of them right now. And so, it's like you can literally get fans off of close losses or exciting losses or winning a good match. And then you might not win the tournament, but in the semis, you looked really freaking good. So that, people will remember that more than just who won the tournament nowadays. Like back in the day, it was like who got first, because nobody cares who got second. But now it's like, since everything's on film and video, being able to market yourself in that sense is really, it's so much more important. And it sucks because I know that combat sports, especially grappling, like wrestling and jiu-jitsu, it really is a legacy sport. It's like, before I got into fighting, I guess as I got into later parts of my wrestling career, it was never about the dollar bill. It was never about the amount of money I could win. It was about just winning that like medal or winning first place, like being the person who's on top of the podium.
It's not how we were taught too, right? Like,
yes,
we are not taught like training room, like, hey man, like you train hard, but also have to market yourself hard. You have to know how you're going to say things. It's about like, hey man, you go there and you win gold. Like that shit doesn't matter.
And you win. Yeah, you're right. It's like when I was 6, I wanted to be an Olympic wrestling gold medalist. I didn't want the $250,000 that came with it.
You didn't want to be an influencer?
Huh? No. You know what I mean? No.
That's what kids are saying nowadays, bro. When they're in school,
like,
they're like, I want to be an influencer.
Influencer. That's crazy, bro. But it's just this day and age. It's like for a guy like Meregali, it's like shame on him for not, keeping up with times. Like, I get his argument of legacy, but it's like, hey, bro, that day and age might have passed already.
Mm-hmm.
You guys agree? Mason, you agree with me there?
Yeah, and I'm at the point now where I would rather be rich than be a ADCC champion or a CJI
100%,
champion.
100%.
Like, if you could give me the option of, like, I go out there and I win CJI and I look great, but I don't get any money, or, like, I lose and I look horrible and I get the money, I would just take the money. Like, I don't care about I don't care about the legacy in the slightest. And I'm 31 now.
Yeah.
I care about money.
I'm not gonna neglect legacy, but I think I'm also doing, like, I've done a lot to my legacy, like. So for me now, I'm at a point in my career that I actually need the part of the marketing, because people don't know enough of my legacy. So what can I do to help my own legacy? Like, when it comes to legacy, I'm a 6-time world champion, a black belt. But if I win one more world championship, how much is that going to count on, like, how many people are going to know? So I think right now for me also is like, how am I going to, like, let people know of how great I am and the things I have achieved, like, what are the channels that I have to hit for that? So to your point, like, it's a different time that we're living. So for me, it's like adapt to that too, like learning how to adapt to that.
So true. It's like, if you win another world title, I mean, how much more is that going to mean? Like, how much more money is that going to put in your pocket, as opposed to you focusing on how to put money in your pocket? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would say that coming back on the DMs in the future would do a lot more for your legacy than winning another title, potentially.
Yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah, Vic.
There we go.
Make sure all Victor's fans like and subscribe too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I love this style, man. It's fun.
Yeah,
I love what you guys are doing here.
Yeah, man, you're the first guest in history, bro. So
talking about legacy.
Talking about legacy, boy.
Awesome.
Few years down the line, you'll be able to, when we're, top 20 podcasts in the world, you'd be like, man, I was the first on that. We might give you like a little, like, not even a percent, but like maybe like a 0.5% of,
just give me
earnings.
A return free pass.
Yeah. Let you come back for free, dog. You know what I'm saying?
Well, last question. And then we'll get you out of here. I know you got another call in a few minutes. So you were one of the only athletes that actually built like a ramp similar to the ramp that they have at CJI. Mm-hmm. So I know you didn't really get the chance to use the ramp in the tournament, but how was it training for the ramp, and what does it change in jiu-jitsu?
I think it's like there's not a lot of like guard when your back is in it, so that was kind of weird. But it is interesting how you can play like the clinch and use the clinch to kind of like create attacks. I think who did the best with the ramp, honestly, was the Tackets. I saw some stuff that they did there that I was like, oh man, I didn't even think about that. Like how William used the kind of like the ramp to climb over to João's back. Mm-hmm. I saw that Andrew used it like to kind of like finish a pass. being honest, I didn't use the ramp as much as I wanted to because my camp was kind of like very like weird this time. So I had a limited amount of like mat time in my camp for this tournament, and I didn't like use most of it on the ramp. I did just like a couple training theirs, and the attacks that I think thought about it, like doing it on the tournament, no one really did it because there was not a lot of like clinch. I worked more like clinch, almost like a MMA guys do like in a cage. But honestly, like there wasn't a lot of that in the tournament. Like I think everyone did a good job in like bringing the match back to the center, and even the transitions that were there, they're just like for a moment, and then the match went back to the center. So I think those guys did the best. There's definitely like you can use it for kind of like counterbalance too, you know. Like I saw some guys using like to like almost like post on the ramp and kind of like jump. I don't see myself doing that, but I really like the part of like clinching from there and like using control. But honestly, the mat was so big that I don't think it was like that easy to get close to the ramp. But I think honestly, the best thing for it is it really takes away the power of the referee to kind of like, how do I say, kind of like be like taking control of the match. Like, it took like half away of like his not power, but I would say like, which is so boring sometimes. Like a transition is happening, something really cool is happening, and it's like, all right, stop. Now let's go back to the center. Like that's so like that kills the buzz so much, I think, in jiu-jitsu sometimes. So not having that, I think, is the biggest plus. Just like keep it rolling. Like the ref is there just to like, you know, if something bad happens, but you guys on the wall, you just keep rolling, you know.
Yeah, and jiu-jitsu is the only sport that we have that many resets. And I mean, if you look at MMA, it's in a cage. Boxing's in a ring. Muay Thai is in a ring. Wrestling is in an open mat, but
Push out.
There's points that are scored if you keep on pushing. If the guy keeps going out of bounds, he's going to get penalized. In jiu-jitsu, there's literally the finals of worlds, like the highest level of jiu-jitsu. It's not uncommon to see like 10 to 15 restarts and no penalties or anything.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. And now that I'm thinking about it, that is something that really has to change in jiu-jitsu because we're the only combat sport that has that.
And I think the alley kind of helps with that, right? Like, how are you don't need to reset you guys anymore. And I think for the longest time, people were saying like, oh, you should just like give a push out points in jiu-jitsu. But I'm like, like you win by push outs, you know, like when the goal is to get to the ground, like it just shows that there's a limitation when it comes to your actual ability to grapple. So I think the alley is perfect because if you back out, you're going to have to do jiu-jitsu now because you're going to be on your back. So that's also another like great point that you brought about the CJI. That was cool. And also props to Karate Combat for like coming up with the idea.
Yeah, and wrestling is it's the same way. It's like, but if we're a grounded opponent, if you guys are grounded and you go out, there's no point. So it's like half, you know, the majority of the match in jiu-jitsu is on the ground anyway. So it's like, what would a push?
But guys will stay
really
standing
do?
And just like keep moving back, and then go out of bounds, and then they'll just restart, and it'll keep happening over and over and over again.
The craziest thing is like there are guys that's like majority of the game is made of. When shit goes bad, they kind of like
they just
jump out of the mat so they can get a reset onto a better position, which is crazy to me. I'm like, wait, what? Your way to deal with it is just like not face it, just like try to like run away.
Crazy. Anyways, all right, we know you got to get out of here, Victor. Is there anything you want to plug before you leave? Your social medias, your sponsors.
Yeah.
He's like, fuck my sponsors. Don't follow me. We just talked about marketing, Victor. Come on, plug your social media.
I'm here for
so
the legacy, bro.
You. Yeah, he's just here for the legacy. Follow his legacy, man.
Remember the name. Just remember the name, guys. No, my Instagram, Victor Hugo JJ. Shout out to my sponsors. You know, Fuji Sports, Fuji Mats. They're always with me. And that's it, man. Like, glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me as the first guest. You know, and I wish the best to the show. Hopefully, I'll be back. Hopefully, I didn't do bad. And I wish you guys the best. Thank you so much.
We're gonna do the next time that you come on the show. We're gonna do the interview in Portuguese, bro. I'm working on it.
Let's go.
I won't be
Adios,
there.
muchachos.
And I'm gonna be correcting him.
Yeah, you be correcting me. Yeah. Hey Vic, if you're ever in SoCal, bro, want to train, let me know. I got some good wrestling for you, bro.
Sounds good, brother.
All right, buddy.
Sounds like a plan.
Thanks so much, bro. Get out of here,
guys.
Yeah. Later.
Peace.
All right, guys. That's another episode of the DMs, the Deron Animation Show, with our amazing producer Andrew. And make sure that you like and subscribe. I'm serious. I never thought I'd be the guy to start saying that. Like and subscribe. Send to your friends, man. Send send to your gym, your gym teammates, everybody, it's so much more. I mean, I feel like we are such a knowledgeable podcast at this point for you guys. It would be really a disservice of yourself to not join. And, I think we have a different kind of feel and vibe than the majority of these grappling podcasts have. So like and subscribe. Appreciate you guys' support, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
See you next time.
Victor Hugo is awesome. If you are digging this episode, then you're going to love this one. This is our, inaugural CJI recap. We break down the finals. We break down like what this means for ADCC and jiu-jitsu as a whole moving forward. So again, if you like this one, you're going to love that one. We'll see you there.